Last show in Irvine, California, and I'm not going to lie, I'm ready to get the hell out of here, get back to New Orleans, and get back to regular life. See some practices with the fans in the stands, all that stuff. Excited to get that going next week. And they got one more practice here, and then the preseason game in San Francisco this weekend. You are listening to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee, and we are coming to you from the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio that is temporarily here in Irvine, California. We got a good show for you guys today. We're going to talk about everything we've seen in these practices up to this point. We're going to recap two of the more competitive practices that we've seen in all of this training camp and get into some other odds and ends going on with the team. What does Justin Simmons do for the Falcons? That and much more. And if you are in the market for a new car, check out my guy Matt Bowers at one of his many locations in the Gulf Coast region. They got great cars, great customer care, a great car buying experience. He will get you into the car of your dreams at the price of your dreams. So go check him out at one of those spots today. And if you are signed up for NewOrleans.Football, what are you doing? Take care of that today. Use the code CAMP24. That's going to be good for like 10 more days. You get 20% off your first payment. You get all of our news, our analysis. We're going to have the live blog going during the San Fran game, and you'll be helping us out, helping us do all the things that we need to do to keep bringing you guys the great coverage that you've come to know from us. So get on that today. Get locked in for the whole entire season. That would be $89. Use the code. It takes it down to $71.20, I believe, if my math is right. But what's always right, and you never got to question it, is our great sponsors. We're going to hear from them real quick, and then we will be right back to get into the show. Ochsner Health inspires healthier lives and stronger communities through a combination of standard-setting expertise, quality, and connection not found anywhere else in the region. To learn more about how Ochsner empowers people to get well and stay well, visit ochsner.org. Long live you. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out.
Choose your lucky symbol. Play beginner's luck. Win up to $5,000. Let's Taco Bout Bingo. Play Taco Bout Bingo. Win up to $50,000. Looking to triple your cash? Play 77777. Top prize of $177,777. Play the new August games from the lottery.
Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show.
Welcome into the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio here in Irvine, California. Look, as Boys and Men say, we've come to the end of the road. This is it. This is the last one. This is the last one in the mobile Ochsner Health Podcast Studio.
We've been talking Saints for quite a while now.
But
I know it hurt you when we wrote about the offensive line.
Let's get into our first segment presented by Aaron Rose. Sunday is the preseason game against San Francisco. Wrapping up the Saints' time in California. a huge game for certain people because they didn't have joint practices this week. So we don't know how much the starters might or might not play, but who needs to have a big game and who needs to stand out?
Man, I feel like everybody on the first team offense. I thought that first game was about as underwhelming as possible for this team. Kind of went into that, and it felt like it was on a high going into it a little bit. You're seeing good things from the offensive scheme. Obviously, the protection and all that stuff was worrisome, and it has been start to finish. And I think it's actually escalating as time goes by, the concern level with it. I mean, it just does not feel like it's getting better. It doesn't even feel like it's staying the same. It feels like it's maybe getting worse. Maybe that feeling of it getting worse might be confirmation bias because like the concerns coming out of that game were so high, and now just kind of everything stands out and it's hard to overlook anything. But it doesn't feel like it's getting better. That's for damn sure. And I just feel like everybody's got to play well on that first team offense. I mean, I think it's everyone. I mean, all the way across the line. I think Derek Carr needs to execute a little bit better.
So you think starters are playing for sure?
I think they should.
Yeah.
If they don't, I'm kind of wondering why not. Like you didn't get the second game. The first game was bad. You got a new offense. I don't
think they would have if the Niners had shown up, but I think they will since the Niners didn't show up. But
it's
they
questionable.
Did these competitive practices this week.
It's really questionable because it's like Derek will do 8 reps and then Hayner does 4 and Spencer does 3 or whatever. He's taking double the reps that everybody else.
Yeah. And they did this new thing this week that we hadn't seen a lot. They were basically scrimmages the last 2 days. The offense and the defense walked through on separate fields, did not share their scripts with each other, threw surprises at each other. They wanted to mimic scrimmages. And so I'm 50-50. My initial gut was, well, if they're not going to joint practice with the Niners, then they're going to play in the game. But did they do this instead of the game? I don't know. But I agree with you. Like if this was it for their competitive practicing and they're not going to play in the preseason anymore, that is concerning. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they should play. I really do. I don't know if they will, though, because of what you just said. Like, the way practice played out, they did really ramp it up. He got double the reps. We'll see tomorrow. I really think they should be out there. Yeah. And, they might take a different approach, but ultimately, it doesn't matter if you go into the season and you're good. Like, it doesn't matter what you do right now if you go into the season and you're good. You can be terrible in all these games. You go into the season, you're good. Who cares? Nobody remembers. But I just don't. I would feel a lot more confident about things if I saw them play well in a preseason game. Right. And if we never see that, I'm not going to feel good until we see it. Like, it's just, there's no way to do it. And I don't know if we'll ever feel good. I mean, I don't know that you're going to go out here and block better and execute better or whatever. But, like, I don't know. You kind of need to figure out how to do it now so you can figure out how to do it in September. Although I have trouble believing that the guys on the offensive line right now are going to be the guys that are on the offensive line against Carolina. I just don't. I don't think it's going to be the same 5. I don't see how it can be. So maybe the judgments now don't mean anything until you see whatever it's going to be in its final form. If
the starters don't play in the preseason game, well, first of all, Talia left practice today with back tightness. Yeah. Hopefully that's minor. I think he could miss practice tomorrow and they'd still play him in the game. He needs all the reps they can give him, but he's a question mark because of that. If they didn't play the starters, it would be Carr sitting out, it would be Alvin Kamara sitting out, it'd be Chris Olave sitting out, it'd be Eric McCoy sitting out, it'd be Cesar Ruiz sitting out. No matter what, Penning is playing, Fuaga's playing if healthy, Lucas Patrick is playing, Oli Udoh is playing. Like the guys
I want to
that
see
are
the 5.
I agree, but I'm saying those guys are playing no matter what. So, and those are the guys that are the answer to the question. Like they need this game. They need the whole first half. They need to come out in the third quarter. They need to identify these guys, the 3 guys who are starting other than McCoy and Ruiz. It'd be better if they were all playing together, but those guys are playing no matter what. And obviously it's super important for them. No question about that.
Yeah. Incredibly important. And then I think that for staying on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, obviously there's a bunch of guys at receiver that
was going to be my number one answer too.
That kind of got to battle it out. Is it Kevin Austin? Is it Stanley Morgan? I think still kind of has like a sneaky decent case. I think out of all these guys, the best outcome for the Saints would be is if St. Brown came out and just played great. They need a big dude to be on this team and. Right now they don't have a guy of that stature that, I feel comfortable throwing the ball to on third down. Like, I don't know if I feel comfortable throwing him the ball on third down, but, like, do something to prove it and make the team.
Yeah, so Chris Olave, written in chiseled in stone. Rashid Shaheed chiseled in stone. Cedric Wilson is as close as you can get to that, written in ink, not even erasable ink. But who is going to be the fourth? I mean, the fourth receiver is going to catch passes in week 1. A.T. Perry had the inside edge on that, but now he's dealing with an ankle injury. You said he's anticipating me back in week 1, but they don't know that for sure. Mason Tipton looked like he had a possible edge on it. He looks like he's going to miss his second straight preseason game. Bub Means had a touchdown catch in practice today. It was great, but he just showed up for practice. Samson Nakua has looked really good at times. Kevin Austin's looked good at times, but Dennis Allen kind of poo-pooed the great catches we're seeing, but pointed out the things he still hasn't done, getting his wires crossed, he said, when they had him play multiple positions in the game. The only guy that I think they could trust if A.T. Perry's not ready is Equanimeous St. Brown, and that doesn't mean he's going to be the best pass catcher of this bunch, but he's probably the only one who knows the offense, who can block, so it's good that he's been back in practice. He practiced today, full snaps, all 11 on 11 for the first time. And it was great when all these young guys were flashing and looking like they could beat him out, but now he does feel like a need to be the guy for sure.
Going on beyond that, I think obviously the other one is the backup quarterback battle, and I think it's imperative.
That's the reason everyone's going to tune in.
I think it's imperative for both those guys to have a good game, because I really do think it's close, and it could go either way. Like, I really do think it could go either way. So I think that's going to be decided in the preseason, and I think it's really important for both those guys, if they want that job, to maintain pace.
B, I got a few more, but who do you got?
Bud Means. He wasn't out there last week. He's came back, practice fully.
There's an opportunity.
He might make the team. Yeah, he might make the team. I would have put everything on Tipton before, and it just kind of feels like it's kind of, DA keeps talking about out of sight, out of mind. And he kind of feels out of sight, out of mind right now.
Yeah, that's real.
So he made a great touchdown catch today, though. So it was like, forgot he's in this. Isaiah Foskey's an obvious answer to this. He played 54 snaps in the first preseason game and did nothing with them. He continued to look good in practice. He's looked good in practice. He needs to do more than look good in practice. He has to show up for a game. I think he makes the team no matter what, but if they're ever going to play him and he snaps, he's got to show it. We talked about Blake Grupe yesterday, but the kicker battle is so tight and they're so shaky right now that if anybody misses in a preseason game and the other guy goes perfect in the preseason game, that might make the difference.
Yeah.
Same thing at punter. And then we've talked about the safety battle being wide open. I mean, Khalid McKinstry's making the team. I think he needs to do well with his snaps. But as far as like battles for jobs, Howden, Harris, Abram at safety is another one that's still wide open. Yeah.
Can't get no better than that. That's a perfect segue into our next segment presented by Shybear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. The Saints, they had a meeting with Justin Simmons last week. The Falcons had a meeting with Justin Simmons this week. Falcons won. Falcons signed him to a deal today. Falcons also traded for Matthew Judon from the Patriots. So those are two high-caliber defensive players that they've acquired over the last 2 days. Does that hurt the Saints' chances of making and being the NFC South champions this year?
Well, I mean, I've been on here over and over talking about how I thought the Falcons' defense probably was going to be their weakness and wasn't very good. Now they decided two guys that are pretty good players. I don't know what Judon's going to be, 32 coming back from the injury, but he's been really, really good throughout his career. I actually kind of like, if I'm the other teams in the division, I probably fear the potential of Judon more than Simmons. Like, if he comes back and he plays, even close to what he was before, 12.5 sacks, 15.5 sacks. Last year was injury riddled, so throw that one out. If he comes back to that, I'm more worried about him than Simmons. I mean, I think Simmons is a good player. He's a good piece. But like, when we were talking about the potential of him joining the Saints, he wasn't necessarily like a fortune turner overall. Right. But the idea of him being in the division and keeping him away from another team, that kind of made me look at him like, okay, this is more valuable this way. But I think he's a good player. I think he's going to make him better. I think Judon's just the one that's more serious. I'm surprised it got the $8 million on one end, and then on the other end, I'm surprised that like
on Simmons,
it got done for $8 million. Like, I'm surprised by it both ways. Like, I don't know. Like, I was a little bit surprised by just like the whole thing.
Yes, I agree with you on Simmons. When we were talking about him, I was excited about the idea of the Saints adding him. I think he was the best player available in free agency, but he wasn't going to change my record prediction. But if he makes you a half game better, then he just made the Saints a half. You know, the Saints lost out on a half game, and the Falcons got a half game. So maybe that adds up to a 1 game difference. You know, something like that could turn the tide in the division. It's a big disappointment, but again, I mean, part of me was glad to see that it was $8 million. Like if the Saints, you know, if he was like somehow only like $4 million and the Saints backed off of that, I'd be like, oh, you should have been more aggressive. But look, I cannot talk out of both sides of my mouth, and I've admitted all offseason that it's really hard for me to say it, but we keep saying the Saints need to start saving resources at some point. I kept saying, please don't spend any money that is just on the 2024 team only and has nothing to do with the future. Don't trade future draft picks just to make the 2024 team better. So I wanted to see Justin Simmons on this team. I wanted a reason for a little more hope, a little more excitement, a little more, hey, this might put him on top of the NFC South. But this goes in line with everything the Saints have done and that I have applauded, which is they resisted paying Andrew Speed. They resisted paying a backup quarterback. They resisted paying for Isaac Yiadom. And now they're saving a lot of money they didn't spend $8 million on any 30-year-old free agents at any position. So I think I like that that's what they're doing, but I think it makes it harder for them to win.
I mean, I would have spent the 8 to keep him away. Like I would have spent 8.5. Like I would have done it just to keep him away
from the Falcons.
And you know, I kind of would have done it probably just to get him in the building at one point. Like when it felt like that doesn't feel like a ton of money. It's a lot kind of relative to what the market's doing, but like the market's so weird right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but like I would have, like competitively, I would have just.
He feels special enough to make.
I would have made the move. Yeah, like if it just doesn't feel like a ton of money, it doesn't feel like it really sets you back. It feels like you're in this window where you're trying to make this work. I would have did it, but we're gonna see. Like I don't think that him alone is gonna be a significant fortune changer for the Falcons, but for a defense without really, you know, I think. I can't, you know, two good players before these moves, maybe 2.5. Like he's somebody that you add to that mix, and now they got a handful of good guys. It's just if you're in this window of like trying to make the playoffs, trying to do this stuff, and like they are, you know, but I don't think Simmons is a Chase Young. Like Chase Young's like a difference maker. I don't know that Simmons kind of, you know, shakes it up for you, but yeah, I mean, I would have got to the 8. I would have got the 8.2, like whatever it is, but. It kind of feels like he just picked a spot, honestly. Like I think he was kind of picking a spot, and I think probably the Falcons offered. I think the Falcons probably offered the most money, but like it just kind of he took his
visit here first. I bet if the Saints would have offered the 8, he would have come here. We don't know what he's thinking though.
I think he probably took the most money, whoever was offering it. But I mean, I also think he just kind of, you know, if you wanted to be somewhere else and it's $1 million difference or something like that, you could have picked the other spot. It's not difference making, but I think he was just picking a spot with the most money. Like that's just kind of what he did, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the payoff for this will be when we're writing articles in December or January saying the Saints are $60 million over the cap instead of $70 million over the cap.
Look, the thing is, I was like, this team does a good job with their safeties. He wants to go back out and make money. I don't know. We'll see. It's the same. It's a similar system. So we'll see. We're gonna end up seeing who was right about this. It's gonna be interesting. But I think no doubt. It makes the Falcons a better team getting both those guys. Like both those guys. It's
no doubt.
You know, they got to learn it. They got to get up to speed. All that stuff. But like,
you're picking to win the NFC South.
That was my next question. Where are you putting him at? You said it put him up a half with Simmons. He wasn't a whole point changer, but where do you think?
I'm picking the Falcons. I mean, I said all the Falcons needed was a quarterback to be to have the slight edge as my favorite in this division, and they went out and got 2 quarterbacks this offseason. I mean, I'm not betting any money on any of them to win 10 games, but the Falcons are the most likely to win 10, I think.
I still don't understand necessarily the global view of what the Falcons are doing. Like you're doing this stuff and then like you draft a QB and all that stuff, but then at the same time, I kind of like how they're positioned now and for the future. Like there's dual paths here that I don't hate. Trading for Judon and then probably having to pay him coming off an injury, like that's interesting too. Like, but I kind of like where the Falcons are at a little bit. Like just with how they're building it, even though on one hand it makes no sense whatsoever. But yeah, I think they're probably the team to beat. Like if I was setting betting odds, like actual betting odds, and like my money could be lost on it, like I would probably move the Falcons up to the top right now.
Funny thing is they signed a $45 million quarterback this offseason, and it barely moves the needle. That's what you pay to get the 16th best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
The Cousins line.
No doubt about it. It's. I would have to say that the Falcons possibly are going to win the division, but you don't know what Kirk Cousins is because he's coming off of an injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit there and say, hey, well, they have Kirk Cousins plus these other defensive pieces. Now they're automatically going to win the division. But then again, with the Saints, they don't know what their offensive line is going to look like going into the start of the season. So it's tough. It's tough, but I'm gonna go with the Saints. I'll go with the Saints to win the division.
Now you're at the Saints. Well, you were like 8 wins like 3 weeks ago.
I was at 9.
You moved up to
convinced me to 9 in one of the
overtime. To be fair to Brandon,
segments.
you can still be at 8 and 9, and they can still win the division. But
welcome back to 2015 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean
14.
What did Tampa do? Did Tampa win it at 9 and 8 last year? 9 and 8 won it last year.
Yeah.
And no, the year before that, Tampa won it at 7 and 10.
All right, man. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
We're going into our next segment. That's what we're doing. We're going into our next segment presented by New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Look, y'all have heard us talk about the struggles that the offense has had throughout training camp. But now it's time to go on the defensive side of the ball. Where are they struggling at?
Do we think they got better? Is that the question?
Yeah.
On defense?
Yeah. Do they think they got better enough on defense?
I think not better enough. I think they got better on defense. I think their defensive line is better. We haven't seen the cornerbacks on the field really in a long time. So
I
guess it's hard to answer that totally.
It was cute. They were working out together with the trainer yesterday, Adebo and Lattimore together.
Good to see them doing something together. But I think there's no doubt they're better on the defensive line. I feel a lot better about the defensive line after seeing camp. I think there's no way they're worse at that. I like the plan that they have for Cam Jordan. I kind of like what they're doing there. There's no doubt in my mind. Presuming health, they got better at linebacker. That's something that really, really stands out. I think there's no doubt that Alontae Taylor is going to be better than he was last year, and I think he could be a lot better if the signs we're seeing all are proof positive in games. So I like that one. Safety, same. Like it's not going to be. So yeah, I think they got better overall.
I think it's unquestioned they got better, and I think it's worth talking about because we keep talking about record predictions. We keep talking about, oh man, I think the Saints are going to take a step. I think a lot of people think the Saints are going to take a step back. Somebody was just telling me about somebody else that just predicted them to go 5-12. I don't know if it was Pro Football Focus, but it was somebody just today picked them to go 5-12, and everybody is just looking at they're going to drop off. They're going to drop off, and we talk constantly about I don't know if the offense improved enough, but the offense might improve because the offense was hot garbage last year. The run game was like the worst in the NFL. We still believe in Kubiak. We still believe that Carr and Olave can get better, So, but the improvement is on the defense. Chase Young, big addition. Willie Gay, big addition. Alontae Taylor getting better. Kool-Aid McKinstry adding depth. And they didn't lose anybody on this defense. And I thought the defense kind of underachieved last year. So I think Pete Werner looks like he's going to have a better. I mean, it's just like I also picked them to fall from 9-8 to 8-9 this year, and I've stood by that. But I think the defense is one win better. Like all my concerns are on the offensive side of the ball.
We need I know it was football season because we just heard the first triplet hot garbage of the season.
I say that a lot.
That's my favorite saying of yours. Right. And it comes up every now and then. Like we need to keep out like a hot garbage.
A hot garbage counter.
We need a counter.
It will always be talking about their offensive line and their run game from the last couple.
So
of years.
Is the first official hot garbage?
It's the first one of the season.
All right,
no question
so we got
about
one.
it. Yeah.
We were driving to practice this morning, and we were behind a dumpster that was being just driving down the road toward the Saints practice, and I'm like, this is a meme right in front of our face. They were taking out last year's rushing offense.
I mean, it's like Thursday morning on Magazine Street, man. It does not smell good. It does not smell good.
You were about to say something about how the Saints have improved.
No, I wasn't.
You were just talking about the hot garbage?
Not me.
He just couldn't wait to make a hot garbage comment.
Yeah,
that was it. That's what you were waiting for?
Yeah, that was it.
For sure. Well,
it's football season, man.
Oh, well,
it is. Yeah.
You know what it is, man. That'll do it for this opening part of the show.
This segue is hot garbage.
We working, man. We working. We've been at practice all day. We working, bro. That'll do it for this opening segment of the show. Y'all stick around because when we come back, we'll get into Kubiak and the Martin's question of the day. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Shrimp Remoulade combos are back at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Zesty shrimp remoulade served with fried shrimp, catfish, or soft-shell crab starting at $10.99. Or try one of our spring specials, catfish lafitte or lemon caper fish with crab meat. Now at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome back to the Oshner Health Podcast Studio. It is now time for our next segment, presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Look, we broke down almost everything in last week's game, but one thing that you detailed in an article is that Clint Kubiak has been calling plays from the booth. Kind of what's the significance of that?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, it just kind of changes the way that you go about doing the job. You sit up there, you call your plays, spread out a little bit more. You can have your play sheets in front of you and everything. It's quiet. You can kind of put the things together a little bit more. And, just go about it a different way on the sideline. You're kind of down in the fire. It's louder. It's probably a little bit harder to think. I mean, there's a lot of interviews with different coaches. I was reading them, just guys from over the years, Shanahan, McVay. McVay at one point in Washington was on the sideline. He went to the booth. He went back to the sideline, and then he went back to the booth. Like, there's just different ways of doing it. At one point, McVay wanted to be on the sideline, and then his tight ends coach wanted to go down there, so he moved back up to the booth. Like, there's really not like a significant difference. You can see the field better from up there. The downsides is that, like, when you're on the sideline, you can talk to people a little bit more, look in their eye, kind of get the feel for it. But if you want to talk to Derek Carr from the booth, he can go throw on a headset and talk to you from the sideline. So it's really just kind of a what's most comfortable for you type of thing. It's just different for the Saints because, like, all their since 06, and I don't know what it was all before then, but since 06, I think legitimately every single play caller on both sides of the ball has been on the sideline.
Yeah, that was the one thing Derek Carr said is he likes being able to go over there and actually there'll be no videos where we're like, was he yelling at Clint Kubiak and dissect it on the internet anymore? So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean there is some value probably to that, but if Clint Kubiak prefers and thinks he can call smarter plays and read the defenses better and get a gauge for what's open better, then by all means do what he feels most comfortable doing, because you may have heard that last year I think the offense was hot garbage.
Yeah.
So anything that will help fix that, go ahead and try it out. Anything they want to do differently, be my guest.
Yeah, if that's what works for him, it's what works for him. I mean, there's no doubt about it that sitting up high, you see a lot more. You can see the coverage and everything. Like from down low, it's hard to see kind of what they're doing. Like there's distinct advantages from being up high. There's a reason they get the pictures on the sideline from the up top view, because you can see what they're doing and can dissect it a little bit more.
What if he wanted to call plays just from the TV copy? What if he said, I want to stay home and just watch Fox's broadcast of the game?
The problem is that you'd be getting the plays 30 seconds after they're over. So,
that's true.
Yeah, but
and to be clear, because I do think the Saints offense did some good things. It's the run game that was hot garbage. The rest was just regular garbage.
There we go.
The run game was hot garbage. I only reserve that for when you rank like 31st in the NFL at something.
It's a special description.
I don't want to throw that. I don't want to throw it around like,
willy-nilly. Yeah,
I don't want to be like Snoop Dogg working all 16 nights at the Olympics. You know, like I want to keep it special.
Hey man, brother got to keep a check in his pocket, bro. Now it's time for the Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of handpicked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's is so much more than just wine. Today's first question is: can you explain the mystery of the Saints running back room and what is going on regarding Kamara's absence, Miller's availability, and Mims's possible rise?
Hurt, solid.
Yeah, I mean, I asked Dennis Allen today, and I mean, I'd take him at his word because he said it pretty strong. He said absolutely zero Alvin contract as far as I know. He added in, but it's worth just making sure that Alvin hasn't let him know, because Alvin openly let everyone know the last time he skipped practice, and we just want to get it on record. This is just back tightness, not a contract holdout. It makes sense. I mean, Alvin has shown that he plans to play and be a part of this team this season. If there's a subtle message in there, maybe there's a subtle message. I think he's going to be a part of the team. I think he's looked good running this offense. I think this offense will be good for him. I'd continue to count on him being the one running back you can count on in this offense. I'd go ahead and draft him in your fantasy leagues. Like I'm not worried about Alvin being a part of this team in week one. But look, I don't know that I've seen the step forward from Jamal Williams. I don't think he'll be as bad as he was last year. You know, for a number of reasons, the way he was used and the fact that the run game was bad for everyone. I think if this run game improves, he can be a benefactor of that. Henry Miller, it's more than just hurt. I mean, we were concerned. They didn't like what they saw from him in the spring. That was just disappointing, sort of like where A.T. Perry was. And then on top of that, hurt for the entire training camp so far and preseason. I'd love to think he's the kind of guy that once he's healthy for a week, he can pick right back up where he left off in week 18 last year. But major concerns about him being a big part of this run game.
But like if you can't go out there, there's so much more to it than just this one aspect. But like if you can't go out there in week one and run the ball behind a blocking scheme, like because there's only a few of them.
Yeah.
Like if you can't go out there and do it on first down, like that's. I don't know what to say to that. Like, you just got to, like, obviously there's pass protection and all this different stuff that goes into it. But, like, 1st and 10, if he can't go out there and carry the ball and gain yards, like, man, there is a major problem. I don't know where he's going to fit in with it. I don't know if he makes the team even. I have no idea how to gauge this right now, because every single time his name comes up, it's so, like, the response is, like, I wouldn't say negative's the wrong word, but it's just down. It's just so down on him. Like, just disappointed maybe is the word. I don't know. I have no idea what to make of what his future. But like I said it yesterday on the show, like I think, and I just tweeted it, like I think they desperately need him. I am underwhelmed by this running back group.
Yeah.
I do think Jamal's taking a step forward, but that's because like I don't really like remember him taking any steps last year. Like it was just like he was on the team, and then I don't know, like I don't remember anything of significance from the whole season except for one thing that was significant for I don't know, wild reasons at the end of the year, but. He has to be a little bit better, but maybe not. I don't know.
And Taysom Hill again is playing tailback for this team. But he's part of that mix.
I don't like Jamal like until he proves us wrong. I don't like him as like, oh, this guy's part of the solution. Is he? Like I don't know that. Mims, like I like some of the stuff we've seen from Mims. I'm positive on it, but like you gotta really make me believe in game setting. So it's Alvin right now. Like I think they desperately need Kendrick. I think it is a desperate need.
Yeah, I think the league is loaded with replacement level running backs. It's the reason why teams don't invest in it. It's the reason why teams don't draft high in it. It's the reason why It's rarely on your high list of concerns because they could go out and probably find another Jordan Mims, another Jamal Williams, and another whatever, James Robinson. But special guys are special.
Yeah,
and
plus,
Kendra
yeah.
has a chance to be special. And if they lose that from the mix, that's disappointing.
And this offense is supposed to be built on the run game, and the run game is supposed to help take stuff off of Derek. The more you can take off of Derek, the more I like the offense. The more that you put on Derek, the less I like the offense. Like the more they can make it easy for him, the better it is. Like I don't like the construction of the skill players because like I feel like it puts too much on Derek, and I don't want to like, you know, if I'm building this out, I don't want my offense to have to be reliant on, well, Derek Carr is going to have to go make 7 plays a game on his own to have a chance to win. Like, that's not a winning formula to me. Like, I think you need to take as much off him as possible, and I think Kendra helps that. And the more you can do that, I think the more he can thrive just by, you know, going through it, making the easy reads, making the plays, all that stuff. Like, I think that's how they got to be built. So I'm willing to be 100% wrong on this analysis. This scheme has made average running backs look way better than they should be, like, throughout the whole existence of it. But I'd feel better about it knowing that you got this third rounder that has all this upside, that has all this burst, that looked great last year in small samples. Like, I feel better if he's on the team and he's you know, thriving, and you have a young runner with fresh legs. Like, I feel way better about it with him as part of it.
I mean, it was one of the things we felt best about in the spring that's really changed.
Yeah.
This is going to be the Friday show, so we have 2 questions. The next question comes from Taylor Babineau. They ask, how has the tight end group looked in this new offense so far? Foster seemed pretty fired up in the preseason game, but we haven't heard much about him throughout camp.
Foster like wakes up talking shit. Like, it's unbelievable.
I've seen a whole new side of him.
He is juiced, man. Like, this dude he's talking the whole time. Everyone's telling him to shut up. He just keeps talking more and more and more. I think DA told him today to stop talking at one point. Like, he's just going, man.
He talks
like
trash at the defense. He complains about the officials' calls. He
tells the special teamers like to stop overthinking things and just make plays. Like,
but it's a good energy. I mean,
it's awesome.
It's a great energy.
It's awesome.
But I didn't know he was the juice man.
Yeah, because like on defense they're all talking, and then on offense it's just it's I don't know how many guys are on the defense, but it's like 45 guys versus 1. Like, he's talking to all of them just relentlessly. I love it. Shout out to Foster for bringing some fire to the offense. I think they need it. You know, I think he looks better than he did last year, and like part of that's probably the absence of Judon and having a bigger role and you know, filling in all the spots. But man, he's making a lot of plays. He's got a lot of catches. He's good on those crossers. You know, I think he's done really, really good so far this summer.
He had a really good practice today. Yeah, I mean, this is the most he's popped. Was it 2 touchdown catches? Or well, one might have been a 2-point conversion. Yeah. And it's funny. I mean, we have so many question marks throughout that group since Juwan Johnson hasn't participated yet. That Foster went from a guy who was just as big of a disappointment last year as Jamal Williams, I think, to known entity, sure thing. Like, now let's worry about the other guys. It's like, I think he's going to play a ton of snaps for this team. Juwan Johnson looks great. I mean, we've seen him every day out there at practice, before practice, after practice, during practice. I feel good about whatever timetable they said he's going to be on. I bet Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau are both lined up in week 1, and I'm going to feel a lot better about that position. Still a guy short, but that has gone from more of a crisis point to that's not on the top of my worry list right now.
I do think Foster will be better than last year. I mean, we got to remember everything he went through. Like, it would be impossible for him to not be better than he was last year. And I think he was fine last year, but I think he's going to be more in line with kind of like what everybody expected when they signed him.
Yep. Well, that'll do it for this episode of NewOrleans.Football. For those who are already subscribed, stick around because overtime is next. And for those who aren't subscribed, what are you doing? Sign up to the website, NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Use CAMP24 to get 20% off. Catch you next time.